Mr. Speaker, I think we can all agree that in this country, no one should be forced to perform an abortion. Look, I know we disagree about when life begins. I know we disagree about what government should do about it. And however strongly I hold my beliefs, I also know my friends on the other side of the issue feel just as strongly. I respect those disagreements. But whoever you are, whatever you believe, I think this is one thing that we all should agree on. No one should be forced to violate their conscience, at least of all by the federal government. That's all this bill says. The federal government or anyone who receives taxpayer dollars cannot discriminate against healthcare providers who do not perform abortions. And if they do discriminate, this bill says that the victims will have two avenues of relief. Either file a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services or file a civil suit in court. That's it. That's what this bill does. Now, opponents say that this kind of thing just doesn't ever happen. Nobody in their right mind would force someone against their will to help with an abortion. Well, tell that to Kathy DiCarlo. She was a nurse at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. A few years ago, she was forced to help with an abortion. Mr. Speaker, this is not an isolated incident. There have been cases of nurses being suspended or threatened with firing solely for the offense of following their conscience. And now the state of California requires all health insurance plans to cover abortion. So if you're a church, if you're a religious school, it doesn't matter, you must cover this procedure. And if it violates your conscience, too bad. This is a disturbing trend. What is more disturbing is that the federal government has not been protecting people's rights. There are already laws on the books to protect people's conscience rights. But after Kathy DiCarlo filed a complaint to the HHS, she waited 3 years for a resolution. And when she filed a lawsuit, an appeals court said she didn't even have standing and threw out her case. That's why this bill makes it perfectly clear. People of faith have standing, and they deserve relief. This bill does not ban or restrict abortion in any way. This bill does not change any medical standards or contracts. It does not change any laws regarding emergency treatment. All it does is protect a person's conscience. And allowing this trend to continue, if we keep going down this path in this country, we will only erode our First Amendment rights further. It will continue to push people of faith into the sidelines of society. That is not the kind of country we want to live in, not any of us. There's nothing more fulfilling than living out your faith. And we want all people of all faiths to live freely in our country. But we can live out our faith only if our government respects our faith. That's why we need to pass this bill. I want to thank Congressman John Fleming. I want to thank Congresswoman Diane Black for their outstanding work on this. John, Diane, they have done the Lord's work on defending people's conscience rights. It is the First Amendment of the Constitution, and it is under assault. This is something that keeps us free. This is something that makes us uniquely American. This is something that says men and women of conscience have rights that must be protected. And when our own government tramples upon, throws under the bus those rights, we have to act. That's why we're here today. They've been out front on this issue, constantly leading this charge, and I'm thankful for these warriors. I've got to say to my colleagues, this is something that everyone should be in favor of. Because if you believe in free speech, if you believe in freedom of religion, then you believe in freedom of conscience. Then you believe in all of the First Amendment. And that is why I ask each and every one of my colleagues to support this bill.